What's up, guys? I'm Ann Blackwood, and I bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. And today, I want to talk to you, bring to you some of the things that I think about when it comes to the brain being like a muscle. And more so, how I think about things when it comes to remembering what's good for the brain versus what's bad for the brain. And in general, one of the first things that I think about is that feeding the brain, when it comes to thinking about how to feed the brain, it's similar to thinking about how to feed the body on some level. You know, there are things that are, as I call them, junk food for the brain versus things that are going to be superfood for the brain. So the thing is like any amount of dieting, any amount of being conscious of your nutrition, there are things that can be on either side of good or bad when it comes to things like TV or the internet. You can do very positive, mind-expanding things with the TV and the internet, and you can do things that will just turn your brain into mush. So it's not necessarily about where you're getting it. Someone could just tell you, oh, go read a book. But it's not to say that you couldn't read an ebook, for instance, or even find information on a website. The number one thing I recommend people to do all the time is do your own research. And the internet can be a really great place for that, even though it depends on what search engine you're using and what you're trying to find out, but we'll not go there for now. The TV, for instance, is commonly known to drain the brain in that sense, but you can use the TV for the forces of good when it comes to the expanding your consciousness and expanding your brain, raising your vibration in that sense. So the way I think about it is the way I think about dessert, the way I think about junk food. It's okay to have a little bit of junk food every once in a while as long as I'm eating healthy. So it's not about getting off the TV or getting off the internet entirely, although we all want to make sure that we're exercising the body as well as the brain. But when it comes to just exercising the body, we want to make sure that what we're doing is causing us to think, no matter what it is you're doing, because it's that thinking that exercises the brain. So you could watch something on TV, like a reality show, and just zone out and drool out. That's going to turn your brain to mush. I can't begin to tell you, when I was in the phase of watching more reality shows than things that were educational for me, for instance, things that caused me to think, I really started to become a more stupid person. Let's just put it that way. But when I started realizing what it was actually doing, because in the beginning I was like, oh no, I can handle it. I've got enough brain power. I do enough of the other things. I'll be fine. And what I realized was you are what you consume, as I say in my other videos. So you just have to be careful how much of it you consume. So what I started doing was only watching the reality shows in which I truly was going to be able to spend some amount of time thinking and digesting when it came to it, and watch them far less. I'll maybe watch one a year, for instance, or maybe twice a year, depending on what it is, and finding ones that challenge my brain to think, like Survivor, for instance, is one that I love because I do a lot of contemplating when I watch Survivor. But in general, if I'm going to be watching TV, if I'm going to be streaming something, I tend to pick something that's going to challenge my brain to think. But that's not as hard for me because I find things to psychoanalyze in all situations. So you just, as I say in my other video about being careful of what you consume, this is one of those things you want to be careful of. The internet, again, can be a great place to find all sorts of information to expand your mind. There's a reason why conspiracy theories are having a big comeback and actually are being slowly but surely realized to not all be theories, but actual conspiracy fact. And it's because more and more people are willing to do their own research, and it's there to be had. And so there's a reason why spirituality, for some of the same reasons, it are becoming the superfood of the brain. And that's because it causes you to actually contemplate things rather than just zone out. And there's a reason why these things were shunned for so long, because the general populace for so long has been taught to veg out. The things that we are sold are products that we eat and drink every day that are bad for us. And we're lucky that we're having a resurgence of physical and mental health foods in that sense. But we still have to be careful, because that soft drink is still on the shelf to be purchased. You've got to be careful how often you're consuming those, and the same goes for the brain. More than ever, it is a very important time to be expanding your consciousness, to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life, to raise your vibration when it comes to the emotions that you experience the most. We're in a massive time of change, and the more you're willing to veg out and become a robot, the more that's going to be taken advantage of. But the more we can think for ourselves and the more we can expand our consciousness is right now, the more we can bring the world back to a state of livability. So I challenge you to think about how you do what you do with your brain on a daily basis, and see where you can expand your consciousness, where you can spend some more time contemplating the universe, and where you are spending a little too much time giving your brain junk food. Thank you guys for joining me for another video, and may the energies you serve you well.